Yo, what up, 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 though? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the KaleafWins Show. I'm your host, KaleafWins, and today we have a super great show. The story is From Struggles to Strength, stories from a black psychologist. Now, one of the great reasons that I wanted to bring this person on, because this is important. This is somebody who I wish I had access to in high school. Somebody that's relatable. Somebody that looks like me. Somebody that's from where I'm from. And it's a lot of great information that I plan to ask her in this live stream interview right now. But before we start off, everybody give it up for the homie coming up on the line, Dr. Ro. You feel what I'm saying? Dr. Ro in the house. Dr. Rochelle Robinson. But before we even get to her, let's get to everything about what she does in a real quick segment now. Dr. Ro's website is pivotalpointpsych.com. And her approach is pivotal point psychology counseling focused on guiding parents, teens, and young adults through critical moments when change is necessary for success. They have services such as counseling. Dr. Robinson, affectionately known as Dr. Ro, assistant providing clients with positive emotional wellness. Dr. Ro will help you with the completion of a treatment plan. And in that treatment plan, Dr. Ro will cheer you on as you work towards your personal mental health goals. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. We're live. She also can hold mental health workshops, and please, her booking information, her website information is in the description. Dr. Ro provides psychoeducation, workshops to increase your understanding of mental health and will provide you with the knowledge and skills to recognize issues, respond appropriately, and at times refer to a mental health professional for additional assistance. Here's her Instagram page where you can get her at Pivotal Point Psychological Consults. What the hell is going on in my brain? At Pivotal Point Psych, at Pivotal Point Psych, and her website is pivotalpointpsych.com. Everybody give it up for Dr. Ro in the house.
Thank you for having me.
What's up? Pardon me, everybody. We live, so pardon the stutter. Welcome, Dr. Ro, to the KaleafWins Show. How you doing today?
Good. How are you? I am excited.
I'm hyped. I need some water. Transparency, everybody. We've known each other for 20 years. Crazy, I said 20 years. We're going to keep it out there.
21, so how is that?
Listen, it's great when you have friends that you went to college with who are doing things and providing services that you needed when you were younger. If anybody didn't know from watching the KaleafWins Show, I dropped out of 7 high schools. I've been to every at-risk program in the 5 boroughs of New York City as a kid. I had nowhere that I can be redirected to, no one who I can talk to, people who didn't look like me and weren't from where I was from. I had people who just say, hey, sign this, fill this survey. Great, we'll meet with you and schedule 3 weeks from now. Oh, I forgot, I'm late. And people never followed up with services. And I love, Pivotal Point Psych and the services that you guys provide. And I want to give you the platform and the opportunity of the many platforms that you're on just to talk to my small audience and tell them a little about Pivotal Point Psych. And first question I'm going to have for you, what made you start this outside of the obvious fluff reasons? But literally, I knew you. I remember senior year when you were about to cross that stage on graduation. And you asked, hey, what you going to do when you did do this? What are you going to do after you leave school? But what was that light switch moment that made you say, like, you know what? Pivotal point must happen. I need to create this.
Everything that you just said. I worked in schools for 13 years. I worked in the city. And I saw so many just heartbreaking stories. Mm-hmm. And there were just kids in there who had so many issues. And although we were focused on education, there were things that were going on at home. And the school would be like, that's not our responsibility. Like, we don't handle that. And then even when we wanted to give services to kind of help, it was like, well, how much is that going to cost? Because if that costs like $20,000, then we're not approving that. And I'd be like, well, that's not really cool. So I left the city and I went to Long Island because I thought that was going to be a better fit. And that's just an interesting place. I'll be honest, there are places that, although it's in New York, there are spaces that are very Trump supporter-ish. So, I was in a school where I was the first Black psychologist that they had. And this is in 2016.
Wow.
And their demographic was shifting. So, it was like all of these Black kids were coming in, Hispanic kids coming in, and their staff is predominantly white. And they were like, well, we need somebody who can help these kids. So, my relationship with the kids was just amazing. But when you're the first, like, you don't get the same type of like help that other people get. So they weren't necessarily against me, but they did not support me.
You got the Jackie
So
Robinson treatment. In that school, you got the Jackie Robinson treatment.
absolutely. And when I left there, I said, you know what? I am never gonna put my future into anyone else's hands. And that was when I got focused on, all right, so how do I do this? And it took me about 2 years to really plan my exit. I met a really dope, oh my gosh, she's so dope, business coach. She is a clinical psychologist out of Compton, California. And I was like, hey, okay. And she's
You
down
about
to
to do the they not like us dance. Like real talk. That's what you about to do.
like, she is so like dope. And I'm like, what? And she literally helps people get out of their 9-to-5 jobs and like create profitable private practices. So when I got with her, it was like, she's like, well, you could do whatever you want to do. Like, see people, workshops, what do you think schools need? So I was really able to put my practice together based off of what schools lacked when I was there. So that's how I got here.
I'll be honest with you. I think, again, like I said to you before we started live streaming, I wish there was a you in every school I got kicked out of. I wouldn't have gotten kicked out of like 7 high schools in New York City. I'm not going to list them because I don't want people who I went to school with say, oh my God, I remember you. Yeah, I was the one in the hallway wilding out, getting in trouble. They called the police on. Because we need, like, you. When I think, again, when society thinks Black psychologists, they think like a Google search image of a frumpy older person that is not relatable, that's going to bore them to death. You are,
Yeah.
I think it's lit that I literally know a Black psychologist that I went to school with, and I've seen them saying like that has that passion and desire to help people. And technically, not to be too transparent, but when she was on campus, she was the listening ear to calm people down when that were really wilding on campus, really having like little like emotional breakdowns. So this is hard, especially going to a HBCU when you're not used to the country and you're from the city. You were always the listening ear.
Yeah. I have a lot of stories that I kept close to my heart of people that really shared that type of thing. And just about what we think about when we think about Black psychs. I think one of the first things was I did a photo shoot and I had the little jacket on and I was professional and whatever. And my friend did the photos and I got them back and I was like, I don't like these. And she was like, well, what is it? Like, what did I do? And it had nothing to do with her. And I said, but this is not me. Like, and I work with kids and they wouldn't want to sit with somebody that looks like this. And I'm not showing up like that. And I was like, okay, so let's do this again. And I was like, let me do jeans, a white tee, Jordans, and a leather jacket.
Yeah, she's from Queens, so I know she's going to drop a fit with Jordans attached to something about people from Queens. You better rep Queens. I knew Jordans. I was, wait, where's the Jordans? Jordans about to hit right now. She's going to have a fit right. People that grew up in Queens do not walk outside the house whack looking. It's just a fact.
No, it's got to be the same.
You know what
So what's crazy is I did that photo shoot like 4 years ago. And when I'm in consultations with like, people and I'm like, okay, so like, what drew you here? Like, why did you choose me? All the kids are like, you look dope. You look fly. Like, drip was dripping. Like,
QB represent. QB represent. You feel me? QB represent. You know what I'm saying?
So I really felt good that they feel like, okay, this is somebody who I can talk to.
And people need it. Like my daughter has therapy like twice a week. And
Mhm.
we went through a lot of therapists and things of that nature. We went through a lot of people to connect a lot because again,
Yeah.
therapy is a journey.
Mhm.
Especially black men. Please, therapeutic
Absolutely.
services is clutch in general. You know, she works with different populations, but just to understand that there's somebody that you can talk to for
Mhm.
real, for real, for real, for real. Not to say it like that, but I wish that my daughter had access in the beginning of her process. She has somebody right now. She has a person. It's somebody like you that was relatable that could talk to her and then be firm, be realistic, and keep it 100.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, because I got a lot to go to, let's hit to the first issue. And you're from New York City. You know what I'm about to drop right now. You know what's going on, and you know it was just signed. Let's go.
Why today Governor Hochul is expected to sign a bill into law that would regulate social media for kids by restricting addictive feeds created by the platform's algorithms. Social media companies would be forced to display content in chronological order to users under the age of 18. It would also prohibit social media platforms from sending notifications between midnight and 6 a.m. unless parents sign off on it.
I like having my phone.
How come?
It's just better. Like, it's more entertaining, like, during free periods at school.
5 hours. It's a little too much, but I have nothing else to do, so that's what I do.
Don't you have children? Don't you have nieces and nephews? Do you care about the next generation of leaders? These children are not as mentally healthy as they should be because of this product, their products. It's about social responsibility. We have to look out for each other in society. That's what I'm asking them to do. Work with us to solve this. You have the power. You know what to do. We're asking you, just put our children first.
Now, we're not going to do opinions on New York politicians because her and I can go in. That's not what this is about this. But you've heard this issue brought up. In your practice and in your experience, how has social media impacted a lot of the youth that you work with and see throughout your week-to-week, day-to-day?
I mean, when I worked in schools, every fight stemmed from social media. It
Mm-hmm.
was somebody did a sub, somebody posted something in their close friends, and then it got spread around. So, I do think it's unhealthy. We have gotten to a point now where young people are really addicted to it. There was a show on Netflix. I forgot what the name of it was, but it actually talks about how social media draws people in and like how it addicts them to like everything from like notifications. So like when your phone goes bing, it's like, oh, I gotta check to see what's new, you know? Um, so I do think that it can be dangerous. If you are not wise, if you are not secure in who you are, it can be very challenging. I have had young people who, I had a client who's like straight A student, like very attractive male, basketball player,
Mm-hmm.
great. And his mom is like, he thinks that he's ugly because on social media, it's like he's got to have this, he's got to have that, and you would just be like, well, why would he even think that? Because he is who everybody wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
So the strongest person can really cave under,
Programmatic pressure, consistent programmatic pressure. Yeah.
because your body has to be a certain way. You always have to have a good day. Even if you're not having a bad day, you should be online crying so that everybody can see that you're not having a good day.
With the finger though. With the finger though. So
Like,
everybody can see. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. And it's like, some things should be left private. And I think that we are not teaching kids that anymore. Like we're teaching them that everything should be public. Everything is public consumption. And then when people have something to say, it's like you're a hater.
If you were tasked by a high school that had a horrible problem with
Mhm.
social media addiction running rampant in their school, and it was like, hey, Dr. Rowe, we need a workshop for a
Mhm.
school that's heavily crippled, what would be like the 5 target area solutions that you would just come up with something to help them with?
5.
Okay,
Whoa.
pardon me for listen.
I'm like, oh,
Listen, one thing I'm addicted to is reading, and I'm a manual reader. So please pardon me for giving you like the exercise essay of life. But I'm just saying this three. Like, what are some things that schools that you will work with will really do to help curb it, but in a non-authoritarian, but also a realistically firm way?
is one thing is think about, like, I think a really good thing is that, like, you never want to say no to everything, you know? So give them boundaries for when they can have their phones. Like, you know what? If there's 9 periods in a day and you have lunch fifth period, at lunchtime you can be on your phone. You know, like, give them that. I think that if you and I've been in schools where they take the phone as soon as you walk in, and you don't have your phone for the entire day. And
That's
sometimes
crazy,
that,
bro. That's crazy.
yeah. And sometimes that is like a real, like, as soon as you walk in, it's like a fight because of that.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, let them have their phone for like a period, you know, just whatever. It is what it is. They have their moments. Okay, the period is over. Turn your phone back in, you know. So I think that's something that is helpful. Something else I think is good is teaching kids how to make good decisions in terms of what they believe is real, what they believe is fake. Um, you know, people are putting things out online, and you're looking at it, and is this real? Like, did somebody say this about me? Or or like, is this cap? Like, what is it? Because a lot of people will see something, share it with somebody else, like, did you see this? Did you see what happened? They're talking about you. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the person. So getting the facts is something else that I would teach. And then the last thing would just be um as you as you scroll, if this thing is making you feel good, then keep going. If it is making you feel bad about yourself, unfollow this person, this friend, or whatever. So I think that those are the things that we can do. I don't think that you can be like, get off of social media completely, stop it. Because I feel like saying that to somebody who is 16, it's also like the real world is like on social media. Granted, everything on social media is fake,
That's
but
a fact. Say that again. It's all cap. I'm keep telling people
yeah,
it's all
it's,
cap.
yeah.
Have
But
you
with these kids, it's real.
have you
So,
faced these type of challenges in your practice when it comes to social media and the populations that you serve?
um, yes, I've definitely had a lot of the girls that I've dealt with, whether it's dealing with their eating, and a lot of fights, because it's one of those things where, um, because I'm not in schools, but their parents will tell me like, oh, well, she got suspended because she was fighting because of something on social media, or she posted something on social media, or there this is a big one. There were nudes spread on social media. Like, that has happened at least like three or four times.
Every high school I've worked at, that's
Hmm.
happened.
Yeah,
That every high school I've worked at, that has happened. Where people have
yeah.
created fake groups
Hmm.
and thought groups, they call them, or whatever groups like that, or smut groups.
Yep,
They get the pictures off of the phone, they post to the groups, and it
yep,
literally has disastrous
yeah.
self-cancellation results with a lot of students that I've worked with, and it's horrible. Now, again, for anybody watching this, welcome to the KaleafWins Show. Today's show is From Struggles to Strength Stories with a black psychologist, Dr. Rowe, in the house. And right now we're at the segment talking about social media because it's important. And I'm just going to bring up an example. I'm a parent. I'm a full-time content creator and social media manager. When my 9-year-old daughter comes in from school and my 1-year-old and change son comes in, they're used to seeing me with screens or in my phone. So in my own personal household, example time, I have to put my phone down
Yeah.
because if they see me on that device, by the time they hit to become a teenager, it's going to have detrimental dopamine effects. And I know it in my position to be true that it's dopamine. I don't care if you're just looking at pictures, but it's dopamine. It's dopamine to that point. So
Absolutely.
what suggestions do you have for parents of high school age kids or just young adults dealing with the social media at home? Besides the obvious, put your stuff down, but like,
Right. I mean, they do have certain apps where you can limit how much time they are on social media. So if you find that it's an issue, definitely do that. I think the other thing is that people just have to talk. You would be surprised how many kids I'll say, did you have dinner with your family? Did you guys sit down and eat? And they're like, no. They're like, everybody is pretty much like on their phone. Like my mother cooks, she leaves it on the stove, and then everybody just goes off and they do their own thing. So if I'm not watching television, then I'm on my phone. And the parents literally say nothing about it. And I'm like,
I have been guilty. I've had to change up. Listen, I'm not going to lie. Like, especially if you come home from a full day of work, or even if you work at home like I do, like, yo, and I'm the big cook in the house. I cook all the food because I like cooking. I'm bougie. I'm like, listen, I don't like cooking. My wife get tired. I'm like, no, I'm gonna cook. I like how my chicken tastes. No shot, no whatever. And it's like that tablet be the STFU measure. Listen, relax. I'm trying to cook. I ain't trying to have you burn. We've all been guilty as parents.
Yeah.
It is real. That's a dopamine. Like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like, you look at the tablet, like, oh, take this. Please.
Yeah.
But it sucks.
And I get it, because it is like, sometimes it is easy to just give them that and okay. But you can limit it too, to be like, okay, so when I cook, that's when you're going to be on. When I'm done, we're going to put that away and you're going to eat with everybody else, or, watch a television show, do your homework or whatever. So I think that just letting kids know that, like, those are what the boundaries are, is what's helpful. And the earlier, the better. Because I get like, I've literally had kids like fight their parents over their phones, like physically fight over their phones. And I'm like, that's
crazy. That to me is listen. I will tell you, the biggest disciplinary measure, especially with my kids or any of her friends, when all of us are like, "Oh, you did what? Oh, you raised your voice? No iPad for the week." No, they'll lose their mind.
It's like, I know, and people probably think that I'm mean, because I'll be like, "Get over it." Like,
because you and I come from a non-social media. No, technically, you and I come from Black Planet era. I ain't trying to age us, but it is what it is. I remember Black Planet was on campus. Yo, why ain't you in my top 5? Shut your mouth, fam. It's not that serious. It's cap. It's cap. It's cap.
Yeah.
Remember that? Top 5?
Yes.
I'm mad old saying that. Top 5.
Yeah,
Top 5.
I have my brothers in there because they would kill me if they weren't.
Okay. We not going.
I gotta put them on blast. I gotta put them on blast. I gotta do that.
All right, so let's get to the next part of the show, and something I really want to talk about, because these are things that are concern in my mind. Like, when it comes to having a private practice, has AI affected your practice, whether positively or negatively, in the work that you do? Basically, what are your thoughts on the increasing use of AI and psychological assessments or psychological tools utilized by people that, in services?
Right. No. I mean, AI is what it is. I think you can use it for your benefit, depending on what it is. Now, would I use it for like testing a student? Absolutely not, because I just believe in fidelity and, just making sure that things are what they should be. Writing a report, absolutely. Like,
facts.
You can write it, but I will always look to be like, okay, does this even make sense? Does it sound like the kid that I just worked with, or does it sound like a robot? I still do my notes myself. I know that some people don't, but I use AI. Oh, I don't know if I should say this, but I use AI for a lot of my marketing stuff.
I mean, who doesn't? Like, that's technically not a bad thing.
Right.
I'm glad you said the thing about the notes, because, again, if you guys don't realize, I worked in social services for like 20 years, youth advocate, career counselor, everything, and like that for like 20 years. That was my goal. But
Yeah.
when you gather notes, when you speak to the youth or a young adult, and especially their parent or especially their foster parent who they have the co-parent relationship with, your notes is everything, yo. Because you can reference them at the end of a quarter. You can reference them at the end of the school year, and then it helps with reporting. AI can't duplicate that. I'm not
Right.
going to hold you. I'm glad you
Right.
said that. Because if you said, yeah, AI does my notes, then I'm like, are you really listening? Like, for real?
Right. Because like,
And
what
then
are you
when,
saying?
and then when
Yeah.
there's a disconnect, you don't understand
Yeah.
me, Mr. Murphy. You ain't hear what I said like 3 months ago. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Right.
Yes, I did. Oh, word.
Yeah.
When this incident happened, when you had to fight in the bathroom and things of that nature, remember what you told me? You specifically says, and I quote the note. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Period.
because
Yeah.
for everybody
So I'm
watching
very.
this, I'm sorry to cut. I'm sorry. Here we go.
Mhm.
Typical Frank cutting people off. Sorry, but she's a psychologist. I've only worked at a lower tier doing psychological assessments or CANS-based assessments. Those assessment outcomes are everything. They
Mhm.
lead to acuity scores and what type of
Mhm.
programs we can put people in and things of that nature. But go ahead.
I mean, and that is such a major thing to say because you literally have the chance to change somebody's life with what you put on paper. Like you determine if they can get a certain job.
Word.
Like you determine if they can go to a certain school. You know, you determine if they're in special ed for like 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you determine if they'll get a regular diploma or if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that people have to be like careful about that. Even people who are in private practice now who are literally just like, I just want to see people, I just want to get paid. I really don't even want to do notes. But it's one of those things where if you get subpoenaed.
Yep. Word. I was gonna go there. Go there. Go there. This is important information. Everybody, listen to what she's about to say. Please
Like,
go.
yeah, like what are you gonna do? Like a court can literally ask you for like your notes. Granted, confidentiality is in there, so you know there are ways to kind of work around it. But even if you're called into a case, like you may have to go back to your notes to like refer back to. I mean, if somebody kills their mom and they're like, well, did they ever say that they were thinking about anything aggressive? And if you have no notes for that, like, what are you gonna say? Like, your license is shot,
Mm-hmm.
and then like you basically like cannot work.
Let me
So
break this down real quick. I'm sorry, because I think for anybody that might be, oh my God, this doesn't refer to me. If you're a parent, this refers to you. If you're a
yeah,
person who is a foster parent, this most definitely refers to you. If
absolutely.
you're a person that works in particular job roles, I keep this ambiguous, whether they're government based or government contract based, and you have a therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist based in that job role, those notes can be subpoenaed. And
Yeah.
who you utilize, especially parents, as a Black psychologist is an important tool. Like we had psychologists for our crisis plan, psychologists, sociotherapists. We met with the whole care team. I used to be a care manager for years. And all the compiled notes literally would affect the young adult's future, literally their future.
Yeah.
So especially for parents watching this is the importance of why I had Dr. Rowe on in terms of the importance of a Black psychologist. Now, I'm not talking color. I'm talking culture, relatability, understandable relatability based on scenarios. I'll give everybody a quick example for those watching if they don't think, oh, this doesn't apply to me. If you're a parent or if you're a foster parent, I'll give you a quick example. One time there was a kid. He went to his psychologist as assigned by the foster care agency that I worked for, right? The psychologist made an assumption based on the street language that he utilized and assumed that he was going to harm other children. The psychologist put in notes and got him so reprimanded and basically blacklisted him in his high school.
Mm.
And mind you, this was a referred psychologist from the agency that was referred to the high school, that they created such a narrative that it almost stymied the kid's entire future if I did not interject as a care manager at that time. Parents watching this, there is an importance. I think that I wish I did more therapy as a kid because, again, I got kicked out of 7 high schools. But a Black psychologist in psychological services like Pivot Point Psych are great external services for schools, organizations, and things that revolve around young adults to utilize, because they need somebody that's culturally competent, aware, and then current. I repeat, culturally competent, trained, aware, and literally relatable, and somebody that is current. When I say current, what do I mean? If I ask Dr. Rowe a question, she doesn't know everything. Nobody doesn't know everything. But when it comes to a cultural question and things of that nature, she can address the youth, the parent, the organization, and the school board to base that. If you have somebody that's out of the cultural loop, I'm not trying to be funny here, but let's give the I didn't want to do this. Let's give the Drake and Kendrick thing. This is the perfect example of cultural competence. We have a Canadian artist utilizing verbiage in a diss song saying, here, this guy goes talking about slaves again. Culturally, Drake did not have the competency, because he's not African American, to understand how inflammatory that enraged an entire coast of people. Flipping the analogy here, the same way the importance of black psychologists when it comes to your child, black psychologists when it comes to your family, black psychology-based services such as Pivotal Point Psych, and that you should utilize as a referral source for your school board, your organization, or just the services that she provides, especially with the mental health workshops, to address your direct needs. There's a difference between somebody having a private practice that isn't going to impact change and somebody who has a passion, a practice, and a cultural competency to address the exact need with solutions. That's the strength of what you do. That's why I was initially nervous, like, damn, I'm feeling to interview her. How can I convey that point? This is why this is important. People in your role are important, because there's wild knuckleheads like I used to be that needed it. A lot of my friends who are not here because they self-canceled with drugs, they're still caught in addictions 30 years later because the people who they spoke to, who their schools referred them to, really try to band-aid the situation, write your name on the attendance and sit in this room for 2 hours and talk to somebody you're not listening, and people are not getting the help they need. And this is why this interview is super important to me, but I digress. Go ahead, continue.
No, that was amazing. No, I mean, again, I have worked in places where I was the minority, and my last agency that I worked with, I was in a building with another Black psychologist, but this was a huge thing. And they had 10 psychologists on staff, which is actually very rare. So it was an agency that had a school, and we took students from Long Island. They got kicked out of their school. So this is the place that they would come. And it was very interesting because all the kids would be Black, all the kids would be Hispanic. And it was like, okay, wait, so y'all are kicking all of the Black kids out because they're bad? Like, what's going on with that? But what it did was I began to learn, like, okay, so this district is like that. This district is like this. And then when I went into private, so with that, we would have meetings. We would actually meet with the schools. So I would know people in different schools, districts, and blah, 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 blah. When I went into my practice, those were the same people that I would reach out to. And they would be like, yes. So they started referring their kids to me because they knew that this agency, they just didn't do right by them. They didn't. And there were white psychologists on staff that would say crazy things like, this kid is acting up, call the police.
Yeah. You know how many times I used to be in zip ties? I needed to be restrained because I had an emotional episode, but everything was, oh, you're aggressive. I was that kid. I was that kid in plastic zip ties because I had an emotional outburst. And that's how they handled, because they were out of culture. But continue. Yeah, this is triggering because it's so true of the dire need of somebody like you in Pivotal Point Psych in a row. But go ahead, continue. I'm getting memories right now.
Yeah, so that was just like a big thing. Like, and some of these parents just would not know. Like, they didn't know what to do. They would follow whatever the school said, and they would get to us, and I'd be like, no, like, your child doesn't even belong here. So They didn't like that. But I was like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not here for you. I'm here for these kids. And when I just felt like it was too political, I was like, nah, I'm out. And then it was oh my God, but you're so great. Why would you leave? I'm like, because I can't even do my job for real, the way that it needs to be done. Because, for whatever you're trying to accomplish here, and this was during COVID. So,
Oh, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. But go ahead.
and it was a place where the teachers, the staff, they were all married to police officers. So their whole take on everything was like, okay, so we are not going to talk about the whole civil unrest that is going on now.
Even though that has negative psychological effect on young
No,
adults, especially during that time, and adults in general. But go ahead.
they never addressed it. And I was diplomatic. And even the National Association of School Psychologists wrote an article on helping kids deal with everything going on. And I sent it to my supervisor, like, we really need to talk about this with the buildings. And he said, I was really disturbed by George Floyd getting shot in the head. And I'm like, did you even read what I sent you? Like, and the importance of talking about this with the staff, because the kids are coming in here talking about it. And y'all are acting like it's not even here. And I was just like, just get me to June. Just get me out of here.
Get me to June, yo. If you worked at any school board, if you worked at any department of education like we have, that get me to June energy. We know what that feels like. When's the end of the year? But the thing that sucks about people like you, because I know your heart, not to sound like some sort of minister, because I am not. But like, and Ro, don't you go snitching on my past. But the point is, but when you do this work, when you work with young adults when you work with school institutions that we had, our brain, we have to purposely shut off our brain and our heart because we think about the youth and we know what they might do when they're at home because they might be in horrible home situations. They might deal with teachers where they're stuck in a particular classrooms. This conversation is super important. And I want to get to this one area that I want to ask, and I'm going to frame it this way.
Okay.
I grew up around a lot of strong Black women who've owned businesses. And I've seen the resistance that they went through. And when I was a teenager, I was in denial. I was like, nah, it ain't because of your gender and stuff like that. But anytime they went into a particular space, there was resistance factors. Now, be as transparent as possible, because maybe there's somebody who doesn't understand. What were the obstacles with starting Pivotal Point Psych as a Black woman, but then in the other tier of what is it like for Black women in the field of psychology today as per your singular experience? You see that wording? I'm making the wording the way it is because it's the way it is.
No, I mean, I really think that I had an amazing business coach. So starting the practice, honestly, wasn't too hard. Just organizing everything, it wasn't too hard. I'm going to tell you what the overall issue is. The overall issue that psychologists have, Black psychologists have, male, female, white, Black, well, not even white, but minorities, is the licensing exam.
What do you
A
mean?
lot of people, the licensing exam is biased towards people of color. It does not take culture into, it doesn't take culture into any of the questions. So things that I can deal with as a Black woman, that I'm like, yeah, if I have somebody who has been in jail on my couch, I don't feel like I'm in danger. But they're like, you shouldn't even see the person. So, when you have to take that exam and you answer as a Black person, like, you don't do well. I took that test 4 times. And the study materials are 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 just so expensive. I think I probably spent honestly $5,000 to $7,000 like throughout the
Jesus.
time, and the test is $700.
So you
And I
basically have to code switch mentally to address questions in the
hmm
test to be licensed?
yes.
Wow.
So the only way that I passed, honestly, is I had to take being black out of my responses, and that's when I passed.
Wow.
But
That's
most people,
crazy.
but most people don't get to that part. Like they'll take it once and they'll be like, you know what, F this. I'm not doing it. I'm good. I'm good where I am. Maybe they'll take it twice.
That's that's 1400, right? Taking it twice is 1400.
hmm Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So that, and then also depending on what your financial situation is, like I was working a job. So, like I had to save up money to pay. But if you're just a grad student and you've just graduated and you don't have a job and you take this exam and you don't pass on the first time and you have to pay for all of these study materials and everything else, like you're not going to take it again. But that is the biggest reason why there aren't a lot of black psychologists out here,
I didn't know
because
that.
yeah, and the thing is that these are people who are good therapists, like damn good therapists, but they can't pass the test. So I think that that is the first hurdle that black people face, black women face. Um, and I've heard countless stories. Like it really is a traumatizing situation. And I feel like I was in it for a good like 2 to 3 years. I was in that for 2 to 3 years. Um, so while I was studying for that, I was working with my coach, getting my practice together. And honestly, my practice was the thing that fueled me to continue. I'm taking that exam because I was like, this is the work that I have to do.
Hmm.
Like I have to do this work. If I don't have this license, then I can't do this work. And this is the more important thing. So it was
You
just
have to
like
literally take black out of your approach and answering
literally,
questions to
literally.
answer. Do you see? That's crazy.
The moment that somebody told me that, that was when I passed.
Wow.
Like they have petitions going on for this. There's like all types of like legislation. People are fighting this. The last study program that I bought, um, it was this white guy, and he was like, "This is what the issue is, and y'all have to fight for this." He was like, "Y'all have to fight." He's like, "Because I have mine already," and he was like, "They're not going to listen to me, but they need to hear from people like you." I can't tell you the amount of people that I've met that have not passed.
Well, since you talked about something I've never heard about that's I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad you shared this because I'm gonna clip
Yeah.
this up and share this with people so that they know. You're a black psychologist. You have black psychological colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not asking you to be the census board of New York City or New York State, but in your experience, how many black psychologists do you think there are that spread around, especially to the high schools in New York City?
Licensed psychologists or like school
License,
psychologists? Oof.
license.
You'll see like, oof, child, I don't know. I don't even know if you'll get 100
Really? In the 5 boroughs of New York?
in the 5 boroughs. I don't even know,
Wow.
because the thing is like, if you're a school psychologist, like all you need is your master's degree. So a lot of people are in that boat where they're like, okay, so I can work in the DOE and I don't need to have a doctorate, whatever. I can still make money and everything else. I knew that I wanted to do more. Also, I don't like to be bossed around.
It's
So
always been you. That's forever been you. But go ahead. That is forever you. Go ahead. In real, I know her in real life. She ain't a stranger to me. This is her. Like she's a goal getter.
I'm
Goal getter. Like go ahead.
so so I'm like, if I want to do something, then I want to do it. Like I don't want to be told no. So I was like, so what do I need to do? And Dr. C2 from Wilberforce University
Oh my God.
was
You know that
like,
was my mentor, right? You know that's
yeah,
my mentor. I graduated with my little bachelor's of science in psychology, and she like literally put her foot in my intellectual back on a regular basis. She's mad I'm not a psychologist, by the way. She's still tight.
I can understand it. I can understand because she was always like, no, this is what you're gonna do. This is how you can do it, and everything else. So
Remember her stare? Remember her death stare? I'm sorry, we getting like super personal. I don't care. It's my show, though. It's my show. I can do that. Anyway, go ahead. Continue.
It is what it is. So I mean, with that, so I got my doctorate, and then it was like, no, but you have to get licensed to really be able to do more, more. And I was like, okay. And even with that, it's very interesting because the DOE won't even let you be supervised by anybody there.
Once you're licensed.
No, like when you have your doctorate, and okay, so like when you have your doctorate, like you have to be supervised by a licensed psychologist for another year.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a supervisor who was licensed. She was a white woman, and she refused to supervise me.
So that's another barrier.
Yeah.
So the test is a cultural barrier to entry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then there is a social barrier to entry. So that's basically psychologist hierarchy gatekeeping is what we're going on right here to mess people up.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So I'm leader of the dance ministry at my church, and one of my friends is a licensed psychologist. And I would tell her about this stuff, and she was just like, well, I'll supervise you. She was like, come to my house once a week and we'll do it, and I'll sign off on it. And that was how I got done.
The power of networking. Dare I say the power of AME? I'm not gonna go there though. The power of networking.
Power of black women. Black
women united. No pun intended. Black women united. You feel me? Yes. Let me ask you a question. Were you the first doctor in your family?
Yep.
Yo, what is that culturally like in your family dynamic without being transparent or throwing family members under the bus?
Well, of course, my mom is proud. She tells everybody.
Mm-hmm.
She tells everybody, and I'm like, yeah, but if you get sick, do not call me because I can't help you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that kind of doctor. But it's it's okay. There are certain things that I can share with them and certain things that I can't because I know that they won't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like my brothers were like, just pass the test, just take the test. And I'm like, it is not just pass the test. So it's that. And it's a shift when we go outside and when other people recognize me. And like my cousins will be like, oh, so you're just like a real psychologist. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of a big deal out here.
You know what I'm saying? You better flex, QB. That's that Queens energy. If y'all don't know, if y'all watching this from different parts of the world, we are from New York City, right? I grew up born and raised in Brooklyn. She's raised in Queens. You know what I'm saying? There is a particular cultural echelon per borough and an attitude we all have. First of all New Yorkers, we are born cocky. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Hey, we are born with it. It is what it is. And you'll notice with Dr. Rowe, there will be internal flexes that might come across to y'all like cocky, but we know what type of time we on because we've worked hard with this. Think about what she shared earlier. Hurdles, working within the school system. Hurdles, dealing with the cultural biases within the test. Hurdles to get signed off for licensure. Hurdles. So when you've achieved this much, you need to flex. I'm sorry. But here's the thing. She's flexing to promote pivotal point, psych. And everybody, again, I'm going to run this back. PivotalPointPsych.com. Again, great referral services from a Black psychologist who understands what your needs are culturally. She does workshops and things of that nature. Here's her Instagram. She does mental health workshops. She does counseling, and she has a different set of approaches. And I just want to convey to everybody, this is important. Having black eye psychologists or anybody from a culture-based psychologist to address that culture is an important need. It's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. It's about culture-specific understanding psychiatry to assist people with their needs. Like, I just have to send the things back. But I do want to ask you some questions right now, and I'm not going to be messy. Let me sit back when I pull it up.
That's. But now there is one thing that I do want to share. So everything that I just shared with you, I would still go into a meeting and they will still say Miss Robinson. They will still say Miss.
Why did you prep the question I was about to ask without being messy? Because you know what I was literally going to touch on? How do you deal with, and for everybody watching, how do you deal with, and what microaggressions have you seen since you started your private practice? You just alley-oop me. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Give me an example of some microaggressions as soon as you became doctoral that people should even be aware of when they hit to their next level.
Yeah. It was Miss Robinson, and then I'd be like, it's Dr. Robinson. Okay, so Miss Robinson. And it'll be like, oh, okay, so this is what we're doing. All right. So that was one thing. What's another one? Another one is assuming that because I don't have kids that I can't work with kids. Wow. And it's like, well, that's pretty interesting because your kid talks to me more than she talks to you. So what's happening there? What's happening here?
Go ahead.
So those are one. So those are some.
What about professional microaggressions? Because everybody works in the office for the most part. Most people work in an office. What are some professional Because when I first became a manager of a huge sales team, I caught little microaggressions, but you're different. You're a black woman, the licensure practice level. The microaggressions being thrown at you, the hate is being thrown at you at a different level.
Yeah, and I feel like I experienced a lot of that when I was in schools. Like out on my own, like I get a lot of love being out here. But in schools, a big thing was like if we referenced race, like, okay, so this seems like it's racially motivated or something. It would be like, but is it really race? Do you really think that played a role in this? Like, I legit had one of my Hispanic kids. It was case of mistaken identity. He was in class and outside somebody, I guess, robbed a store or whatever, and school was getting out. And the police ran up on this kid and they tased him in front of the whole school. The kids were outraged. And I'm like, he was just in my office. Like what in the world happened? So, it was a big thing. Assistant principal, he's a white guy. The social worker went outside and, they tried to calm everything down. Like they almost got arrested for that. And the next day, the principal wrote an email and said, these kids need to understand that it is a privilege to come to school in this area.
Let me guess, Long Island.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Long Island is the Long Island and Staten Island are the two most conservative, culturally inept, and a refusal to understand a culture outside of their own locations in the 5 boroughs of New York. Continue. That's a fact.
Yeah. So when I would have to be like, that's inaccurate, like this is what the issue was or whatever. And it's like, oh, Rochelle, like, don't worry, this will blow over. You'll be fine. You'll get over it.
But emotional incidences that create emotional ripples that are unaddressed, especially for kids
Yeah.
of culture, while seeing adults reinforce that mindset and behavior are going to have negative effects in school. Fights, emotional outbursts,
Yeah.
cutting issues, self-cancellation issues, so on and so forth. Excessive sexual behavior, but nobody doesn't want to talk about that. But
Right. No. So, just that.
that literally would drive me to have my own practice. Like at that point, that literally would be like, listen, I'm out.
Bugging.
And
Yeah.
but now that you have your private practice and you have that freedom to be your own boss, what are some of the outside of that benefit? What are
Mhm.
some of the great things on the horizon for a pivotal point psych for the future? Especially we're about to close out 2024 in the next 6 months. I always think about things when it's 6 months to go. I'm thinking
Yeah.
next year. So what are your plans for the next 5 years and how you're going to grow pivotal point psych to the next level to address and help people in particular communities and areas?
My big thing that I'm working on now is helping Black and Brown doctoral students complete their dissertations because of my experience. It's the same gatekeeping of just people giving us a harder time to get through. And we already have outside factors that can make it difficult to like get done. Like a lot of us work or they have kids, taking care of family members, committee members who are not helpful. So I really like to guide people through that process. Um, I was literally just talking to a client yesterday who defended her dissertation, and we did a whole dissertation defense prep with her. She practiced it in front of me. It was fine. Her committee literally canceled the defense the day before, and she had 7 days before graduation, and she literally like defended uh, her study like 2 days before, and it was like, well, what happened? And it was just like, oh, this PowerPoint was not good. And it's like,
So
what?
again, when I hear stuff that I've never even considered or thought of, I'm like, why isn't there a TikTok s uproar that addresses
Mhm.
and changes particular things within a culture? And that's the power of social media.
Yeah.
You're describing multiple tiers of institutional and systematic. And I know
Mhm.
when people hear those two words together, they go, "Oh my God, there's a narrative," but it's
What
institutional
it is.
and systematic blocking from
Mhm.
licensed psychologists of color to come
Yeah.
into the fold of psychiatry.
Yeah. I
And
mean, when I did mine, I was stuck at the university. So, okay. So like you have to get approval to do your study. My study was looking at how religion, culture, and support that people got from their family and friends impacted Black teens, and if they engaged in drinking, smoking, sex, fighting, whatever. So I was going to survey teens who are 15 and it was 15 and 16, came from single parent homes, and it's just a survey like, when was your last fight? Do you drink? Do you smoke? Do you have sex? Do you use protection when you do this? And I was stuck at the school for 6 to 7 months because they would not approve for me to do it. And they wanted me to make all of these changes. And it got to a point where I actually had to meet with the board, and the board had like 20 people in this room. And I took off of work, and they called me in because one of the things was like, okay, when the kids get done, they're gonna have a pizza party. Like this is like what their little treat is. And they were like, "Are you really gonna have a party? Like, is it gonna be a party like a DJ and stuff?" And I'm like, I know y'all ain't calling me off of work to ask this in front of these people. And they literally did. Like the most minuscule thing. And I was just like, y'all are like crazy. I had a committee member who went on maternity leave and didn't tell me. So I didn't know. I'm sending her stuff and not getting anything back. Like my dissertation chair and another committee member were so helpful in all of this. Like my chair was like, we got to get this going. Like, you know, she really like backed everybody up off of me. She's a little Jewish lady, but I knew that she was supposed to be my chair because when she was in college, she was head of the Jewish club, and they had lunch with whatchamacallit, Malcolm X, and I knew that she was the one that was supposed to be my chair. So
And I want to share this information. Pivot to
yeah,
Completion dissertation coach, Rochelle Robinson, Dr. Rowe. She'll give you the practical and emotional tools to overcome feeling overwhelmed and anxious about finishing your dissertation. Don't you want to be done with this dissertation once and for all? Let's get to work. Please hit her link in bio. Go to pivotalpointpsych.com, most definitely, to follow up with things of that nature. But this is, I didn't think the conversation was going to go here, but this seems like now it feels mission driven. And now
absolutely.
it feels like people are becoming aware. If anybody wants to be a Black psychologist, if you have a family member that wants to be a Black psychologist, and you want to learn more information about this, run this video back and tell them. But we got a comment right here from my frat brother Scholar. He says, "I'm 2 years from my dissertation phase. I'll be in touch." Wilberforce graduate, by the way. Wilberforce graduate. Please connect with him. Connect with him as well.
Absolutely.
And the social media, I'm about to put on my social media manager hat. This should be a content series. I know I've seen you post videos, but you should have a concerted effort, because think about what you've explained so far. I became a Black psychologist because of XYZ, beginning of this interview. And then I worked in particular school systems. I was like, okay. But then when you literally laid out the barriers, the systematic barriers and things of that nature, this information is important. I strongly suggest you, from my social media management mindset, create that content series, because then that'll drive more people to your dissertation service. And your experiential learning is the best learning in general.
So are you in my head? Because I have something planned.
We'll talk after. I'll give you some strategy. We'll talk after. But yeah, everybody, we're here with Dr. Rowe. Today's show is from struggles to strength, stories of a Black psychologist. And oh my God, she just hit me upside the head. I did not know that it was like 1960s degrees of systematic racism in psychology. I did, like, it's the 1960s.
Yeah. I'm like, they don't want us in here.
And here's the thing, for anybody watching this that might be culturally unaware, if you may think, oh my God, somebody's blaming it on race. Oh my God, somebody's pointing to the crutch. You just heard the stories. If you don't believe it, we're an hour into this interview and about to close the interview off, but literally think about it. Think about the occurrences. Think about the examples. You cannot say it's a singular experience if you do your research and hear it from other people. And here's the crazy thing about what she just shared early in the conversation. She said there's people that have taken the test that's 700 a pop, that weren't culturally matching people of other cultures outside of one dominant culture. And they say, you know what? I give up. I might as well stop. How many people missed out on having that licensed person at their facility because of that discouragement, which is I'm not going to lie. It's crazy. I just want to ask you a couple questions. Again, I'm going to close it up by asking this. How because I know you, it's weird asking you this, but whatever. And I've been out with you a couple times after school and stuff of that nature. I know there is a huge level of insecure dudes that once they find out your acumen, they find out the level of expertise you have in your field. What the hell have you been through? What is the dumbest question ever been asked you on a date when they find out that you're a Black psychologist? What's the dumbest question?
The dumbest question that always gets asked. Always.
Oh,
are you reading my mind right now? But it's lightweight, like a joke in the psychology streets, because everybody gets asked that. Are you reading my mind right now? I'm like, I ain't even getting paid for this.
No word. That is a flex too. I like that flex.
I ain't getting paid for this. Please,
are you trying to go on a date with me, or are you trying to be my client?
Right. So a lot of times I don't like I don't even tell people what I do. I'm like
That
I work.
sucks.
I'm
That
like I work with
sucks.
people. I say
That
I work
sucks.
with people, and then I mean, but I will say that only the strong survive.
Yo, that is, yo, what you just did, yo, was literally create the most sanitized, politically correct way to say, yo, I'm out, son. I'm dubbed. You're getting dubbed so quick. You're getting dubbed.
But but I will say that um the right person knows what to say and what to do, and I appreciate that.
I
I do.
really, I really want to talk to you offline because I'm not.
Mhm.
This is a professional conversation
Yeah,
about that. But what
yeah.
again? I missed the 5 things. What are the 5 things that you would tell somebody who's a black psychologist on how to look for the red flags while dating?
Ooh, ooh.
You liked
Well,
how I framed that. I purposely framed
no,
that. Like, go
I'm like,
ahead.
ooh. Um, look for the 5 flags are if they're not emotionally like healthy. Look out for that because we are natural people who like want to help, and if somebody is not well, like we are naturally drawn to them. But you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who you feel like you have to work with. Like you
Mm.
really just want to be you. So look out for that. Always look out for their finances. Because I mean, but then again, queens get the money, but
Yeah, think
but
about it. You're in a different tax bracket. You can't
I
just be
mean,
around anybody.
yeah,
Like,
but like seriously though, like people think that we're rich because we have these names, and and they can take advantage of you. And again, if you are a helper, then you're gonna help in every situation. So I mean, like when I was younger, like I can't tell you like how much money like I may have spent on like a dude. Like what was I thinking?
you was tricking.
I mean, I had it, so
Hey, Queens get the money. Queens get the money. Yeah, I
but
had it. You with the shoulder shrug. I got it though. You feel me?
but it's just like what you learn. Like okay, like let's think here. So that definitely a red flag is if they're against therapy, because I've dated guys who are just like, I don't believe in that. And I'm like, so you don't believe in the work that I do?
Mm.
I'm like, no, not really. So that
We
if
on
this
four. We on
person
four.
has, huh?
We
Yeah.
on four.
So like if somebody like if they have kids or whatever, like if they don't take care of their kids,
Oh, that's a
that's
every field red
everybody.
flag.
That's everybody.
Yeah.
So kids, baby mama drama, that's everybody's stuff. Um
Plus, you
last
know how to fight, so you don't feel like catching the charge. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I made praise dance, but I dance other ways on your face for
I
protection.
mean, let me know. Um,
Get him, Dr. Roll.
and then last thing, number 5, as a psychologist, um,
Because you've heard stories. You have people, you have
yeah,
colleagues. You guys have a particular
yeah,
level of war story. And then you have a cognitive understanding of humans in general.
yeah,
So there are red flags outside of those red flags that you probably look for and be like, oh, I didn't think
right.
that was a red flag.
Yeah, and definitely somebody who is confident in who they are and like who is a leader in their own space. Because being a psychologist, there are times when you are the lead. Like I am the lead in almost everything that I do. In a relationship, like I don't want to be a lead. Like
Mm-hmm.
I want him to lead me, but he has to be confident in who he is to do that. So I think that those are like the key things. Like very basic, I think, but you'd be surprised how challenging it is sometimes. So
Yeah, it is. But before I want to share this again so everybody can know, especially for those that are taking their dissertation right now. Pivot to Completion. You can register in her link in bio. You know, she's on Instagram at Pivotal Point Psych. You can see her page here. Again, if you're doing your dissertation and you need help and things of that nature, you can click her link in bio. Let's do it right now on screen. You can see all her information. Pivot to Dissertation support email list. Pivot to the 3PC website. Join the email list. Here, there's a power. Again, I'm a social media manager. I'll tell you, getting linked up with Pivotal, especially with an email address, means that you're going to get value in your inbox. You're going to get access to great information. She also has a guide in finding a therapist for your teen. Very important, again, as a person who was considered at risk for his entire high school life, kicked out of 7 high schools, even got kicked out of Job Corps, got my GED in the worst situation. I needed a resource like this. So if you have teenagers or somebody who needs somebody that can reach them and things of that nature, there's a guide you have there. She also has an FAQ for teenagers to ask when considering therapy. But again, that Pivot to Completion dissertation support email list right there. Everybody, please take advantage of this great resourceful information. And I want to thank Dr. Rowe for coming on today. You know what I'm saying? Thank you so much for coming through. Thanks for having it. I was nervous in the beginning. I was like, man, I really want to dig deep into some things. I got a little typically messy in the end because I'm ratchet like that at the end. But everybody, please follow. Go to Pivotal Point Psych right here. PivotalPointPsych.com, at Pivotal Point Psych on Instagram and other social media apps. Please support Black psychologists. If you know somebody that's going through doing a dissertation, need some assistance from somebody who's been through the trenches with this, as she explained, please. Thank you, Dr. Rowe, for coming on the show. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you right after we close this. But everybody, watch this. And again, everybody, this ain't about me. This is about information and data. That's why I have the KaleafWins show. Please, everybody, share this video to those who are actively doing their dissertation. Share this video to those parents who may have children who they love deeply, but they cannot connect with, their schools cannot connect with. Hey, parents or people or school staff, share this to your school districts or boards in different countries where she can do virtual mental health workshops. Because maybe you're out of culture. Maybe that you're saying, you know what, I don't want to bog my brain trying to culturally understand. Maybe I need to have a PD for my staff or personal training. She has that. And pivotalpointpsych.com. Please utilize resources that address needs and create solutions. And thank you, Dr. Rowe, for the work that you do. Everybody, please follow on all socials. I have her website directly in my description. Thanks again. Everybody have a great day. Thanks, Dr. Rowe, for joining.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you so much.